written your book, for the most part, you're like almost done and you're just sick of it. You just think, what the heck? I don't want to write this anymore. This story doesn't interest me anymore. These people don't, they aren't fun or whatever. It happens. People get sick of their own book. And sometimes what they think is that they just put it away to the side and they just forget about it for a little while. They'll go back to it and then they never do. And I think every author I know has a file on their computer somewhere or on a disk or on their backup cloud of a story that they just didn't ever finish because they got sick of it. And I think that one of the reasons why people get sick of their stories is that they lose interest because they've lost the thread. They, somewhere along the line, something didn't really gel in their brain, and so they just simply can't think past that point. There, for instance, if you had a character in your story that had a backstory of having some kind of tragedy happen in their life, and now you're to another point in the future of that character's life, and you don't know how you're going to get them past that. You can walk through, it's all right. How you're going to get them past that point and explain how that occurred to them. And so you might just think, I can't figure out how to do that. I can't get them past that. I can't explain that situation. Or you know, maybe you had a whole sequence earlier on in your book and now it's not even, it doesn't even fit in with what's going on with your characters. And so you just don't know what you can do. My dad used to tell me, if you ever get to a point where you lose interest in something, you don't want to do something, it's because you didn't understand something about what you were doing. And although I think that's oversimplification, because sometimes you should just quit. Sometimes things just aren't working out. In this case, I think that maybe that's true as far as books go. So what you can do is you can put it aside and hope that someday you'll be able to go back to it. And hopefully that will occur. Or you can have somebody else read it and have them give you some feedback of why, you know, why something occurred or how that was turning out for them, or did it make sense? I remember one of the books that I wrote, I had somebody read it and afterwards they said, well, you never described what the main character looked like. And I thought, well, that's really weird. I had her clear in my brain what she looked like, but I just never spelled it out, what color her hair was, or whether she was of a slight build or more robust or anything. And I didn't find that to be a problem, but then I had it in my head. But then that person reading it, that was an issue for them. If it's a backstory about somebody, you might assume that you've clarified that and they read it and they don't understand what's going on. And that right there might be the point at which if you go to that and you clarify that will reignite your interest in the story. Or it could be that you've lost interest in the story because it's just freaking boring. And that too could be a problem. And if that's the issue, go back and look at your outline and find where maybe you can interject something more interesting or something more exciting, or well, so what we used to talk about is we'd say, well, put in a story about a tragedy or a dangerous situation, or something like that. And it could be something like that, but you want to go back to find where the point is where it got boring for you, because it shouldn't be boring for you because you're living it while you're writing it. And if it's boring for you, think how boring it will be for readers. And that could be a problem. Now, there are situations where you don't want it to be very exciting, like when you're doing a cozy romance story, or there's some that are, I'm sure you've seen some of these, well, maybe you haven't, but some people have, where they're like knitting stories. They're people that knit and it's just cozy little stories. They live in a little village and they knit and they get together and they drink tea and they knit and then maybe they have a book club, and it's just kind of weird. But the readers that like those, they like that cozy vibe. But even so, there are dynamics between those people that are making interest. It's a thread of interest through the story that, you know, if you haven't built that in, it might be boring for you and you lose interest. So first thing to do, go back and think, where did I lose interest in the story? And when you find that spot, look at your outline and determine how you can go into that spot and start putting some information or some storyline or some descriptive language or something that would be more interesting to you, and ultimately for your readers. Then, if you still haven't got it, you know, sometimes you just give it up. You just give it up. If you're almost done though, chances are it really is something as simple as going back and figuring out where it got difficult for you. I have one book that is still sitting on a hard drive that, okay, solo player, hi. You keep saying hi, solo player. I have one book that's still sitting on my hard drive that, and it's almost done. And it's not even that I lost interest in it. I think I also felt like I was out of my depth. Like the storyline took a turn. The characters wanted to go down a different path than what I initially envisioned and outlined. And then I just didn't really know how to go down that path with them. It was stuff that I wasn't familiar with, information I wasn't familiar with, lifestyles that I wasn't familiar with. And so I have not resolved that, and I may never resolve that. So, you know, maybe that's just a book that's never going to get finished in my world. But all the other books that I've written, almost all of them, you get to a point where you're like, I don't know what I should do next. I don't know. I'm just kind of bored with this storyline. And that's when you need to go and pep it up and find something that's more interesting and to you and would be more interesting to your readers. Because if you're sick of a story, no one is going to want to read it either. You know, why would you want to have your name associated with a book that you were sick of? And people are going to be able to tell that you were sick of it when it comes out. And a publisher is probably not going to want to publish it. An editor is not going to want to edit it. Your mom is not going to want to buy it. But she will, because she loves you. Okay, folks, that's it for today. This was Vlogmas number 6. So far, I've been doing it every day. Oh, cat earrings. These are sleeping kitties. And I can't think of anything else. It was a good day. It was a walking day, so it was good, and the weather was nice. So I hope your day was just as wonderful. Talk to you later. Bye.